This is 7 News.
I hope that the last moments of your life don't look like this.
Point of view from a person dying of COVID-19. The strong message one ICU doctor is hoping people will hear as the coronavirus surges and we approach the holidays. Plus, a turkey firebomb, how to avoid a scene like this as millions prepare for Thanksgiving dinner. And thanks for joining us for 7 News at 6. I'm Channing Reed. We begin tonight with President-elect Joe Biden delivering a Thanksgiving address earlier today, talking about the sacrifices Americans are making this holiday season and offering encouragement as the COVID-19 crisis continues.
I know the country has grown weary of the fight. We need to remember we're at war with the virus, not with one another, not with each other. This is the moment where we need to steel our spines, redouble our efforts, and recommit ourselves to the fight. Let's remember, we're all in this together. Sounds trite to say, but we're all in this together.
And as we near Inauguration Day on January 20th, President-elect Biden continues to appoint members to his administration. He spoke yesterday about the transition and what he plans to do in the first 100 days in office.
It's a slow start, but it's starting, and there's 2 months left to go, so I'm feeling good about the ability to be able to get up to speed. But I am going to make a commitment in the first 100 days. I will send an immigration bill to the United States Senate with a pathway to citizenship for over 11 million undocumented people in America.
President Trump is refusing to concede. He did give his administration the approval to officially begin the transition process. His legal team is continuing its sputtering legal battle to overturn the election, a strategy that is facing challenges this week as states have begun to certify their election results. To the race for vaccine, we're learning new details on when vaccines could be available. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services recently said the first immunizations could happen on December 12th. Federal officials believe they'll be able to distribute 40 million doses by the end of the year, and they hope to distribute 6.8 million of those doses to the states in the initial push of within 24 hours of an authorization. Pfizer recently requested to allow its emergency use of its COVID-19 vaccine from the FDA. Health and Human Services Secretary Alex Azar said they hope to vaccinate the most vulnerable Americans first, predicting anyone in the general public who wants a coronavirus vaccine should be able to get one during the second quarter of 2021. And tonight, the coronavirus continues to spread unchecked in Arizona. The health department reported 3,982 new cases today. That is down from yesterday, bringing the total number of cases to more than 310,000. 9 new deaths reported today, adding to the total of coronavirus-related deaths to more than 6,500 lives. The percent of positive tests this week is 9.9%. Banner Health says they are expecting to reach 125% care capacity in the coming weeks as COVID-19 cases rise. On Tuesday, the hospital said there will be about 1,000 healthcare workers coming from out of state to help with the winter coronavirus surge. 900 more are still needed.
We are anticipating the worst out of this pandemic over the next 30 days. It's better to be safe and just postpone these events. Seriously, we're talking a soccer game. Why can't we have that soccer game held in January?
Tonight, Maricopa County Supervisor Steve Gallardo is sounding the alarm over hundreds of youth sports soccer teams planning on competing against each other this weekend in the Valley. In a memo, the City of Phoenix outlined their approval of the Desert Cup soccer tournament that is set to have 46 teams coming from out of state to play. From Friday through Sunday, the memo said 200 teams will be playing at the Rose Mofford Sports Complex and 300 teams will be playing at the Reach 11 Sports Complex. It was just last week that the Maricopa County Health Department and ASU researchers warned that COVID-19 cases have been linked to youth sporting events.
We have several outbreaks that we have identified have been associated with club sports and club sporting events.
The tournament's website lists other fields in Scottsdale, Mesa, and Gilbert will also host games. The city of Mesa also requires facility rentals to follow all COVID-19 guidelines. Scottsdale and Gilbert have not yet responded to requests for comment on the use of their fields. Developing now, former Arizona politician Paul Peterson could face a 10-year sentence in prison for running an illegal adoption scheme in 3 states involving women from the Marshall Islands. Prosecutors say Peterson defrauded state courts, violated an international adoption compact, and took advantage of mothers and adoptive families for his own profit. Peterson served as an assessor for 6 years in Phoenix and also worked as an adoption attorney. He was accused of running a scheme in which birth mothers had their passports taken to keep them from leaving the U.S. and were threatened with arrest if they tried to back out of adoptions. Also developing tonight, Chandler police is currently searching for 61-year-old Timothy Sullivan, who they are calling a suspect in the disappearance and death of 49-year-old Ruby Legans. According to police, family of Legans contacted the department on October 27th to say they had not heard from Ruby since October 21st. She was found dead with obvious signs of foul play last week near the Salt River bottom.
So to lose her, it is definitely tough. But I will never, ever be the same. And she was taken from us in a way that we just don't understand why.
Ruby worked at an office here in the Valley. Chandler PD is asking for the public for assistance with any information on the possible locations of Sullivan. Well, as the pandemic continues to rage on, the city of Tempe is freeing up millions of dollars tonight to help residents struggling to pay for housing, setting aside nearly $2 million in new emergency rent and mortgage assistance. As the statewide moratorium on evictions issued by Governor Doug Ducey expired at the end of October, Tempe Mayor Corey Woods says it's critically important that the city keeps residents in their homes and avoid evictions and foreclosures. Applicants must live or work in Tempe and meet income and other requirements. Those approved can receive up to $10,000 or 6 months in assistance. Funds can be used for back payments as well. Tempe residents who want to learn more or how to apply can go to the city's website for more information. Thanksgiving is tomorrow. Are you ready? Many of you have been thinking about deep frying a turkey this year, but you have to do it right, or you could be looking at a fiery disaster at your house. And the Phoenix Fire Department shows you exactly how it could happen. Take a look at this. They put a frozen turkey in that pot, and that has too much oil in it. And there, as you can see, it spills out all over and erupts into an inferno. So definitely something you don't want near your home. But they say that is exactly what can happen if you don't do things correctly.
Put the turkey in the pot and then fill it with water so you have just enough water to cover the turkey, and then kind of mark that on the outside, and then obviously take the turkey out, dump the water out, dry it all out, and then when you put the oil in, you know exactly where to put it.
So if you do have something like this, firefighters say turn off the gas right away once the flames dissipate and hope that the fire has not caught on to your house. A point of view that you won't want to be reality, what an ICU doctor is hoping people will take away from his message. A popular department store seeing an increase after having a blow to its sales during the pandemic. And later, big splurge, where you can have a private and unique getaway experience right here in the Valley. The temperatures will fall, but the cases will rise. That's what health experts were telling us for weeks as they feared a potential surge of COVID-19 before the holidays. Well, now we're here, and one ICU doctor is spreading a message with a reality check.
This is what it looks like when you breathe 40 times a minute, have an oxygen level that's dipping well below 80. This is what it's going to look like.
A realistic point of view that no one wants to see themselves.
I hope that the last moments of your life don't look like this.
Dr. Ken Remy is a pediatric and adult critical care physician scientist at Washington University Medical Center in St. Louis. After notifying a family their loved one had died from COVID-19, Dr. Remy felt compelled to send a message to emphasize how critical mitigation protocols are.
Because this is what you'll see at the end of your life if we don't start wearing masks when we're out in public, when we don't practice social distancing.
More than 88,000 people nationwide are receiving treatments in hospitals this week, setting a new record. And more than 1 million people passed through TSA checkpoints on Sunday, despite urgent pleas from the CDC for Americans to stay home. Dr. Anthony Fauci expressing concern that a surge of Thanksgiving travelers could translate to a surge in cases before Christmas.
What we're seeing now is what happened 2+ weeks ago. What we're doing now is going to be reflected 2-3 weeks from now.
And for the people that don't take the virus seriously, Dr. Remy says this.
This is serious. I beg you, please practice the precautions to reduce transmission of COVID disease.
With a stubborn virus, those working on the front lines hope this stark message will change the behavior of stubborn people.
This will be what you see. I promise you, this is what your mother or your father or your children, when they get COVID disease, will see at the end of their life.
Dr. Remy runs the COVID laboratory at Washington University that's testing new treatments to help patients survive. Missouri is roughly doubling its amount of COVID cases each month. The state is reporting well over 4,000 new cases every day. And coming up, acknowledging the election, what Governor Doug Ducey is saying about Joe Biden's victory in Arizona. Dinner on a budget. The cost for a traditional Thanksgiving dinner this year decreases how much you should expect to pay. But first, caught on camera, what led up to this officer-involved shooting and how it all ended. That story coming up next on the news at 6.
I'm in pursuit. I've been hit.
Caught on camera, a Scottsdale man tonight is accused of opening fire on a New Mexico State police officer from inside a truck in an unprovoked attack. It happened back a couple months ago in September, but the New Mexico Police Department just releasing that video. The officer, Sharon Duran, was on patrol on Interstate 40 near Laguna, just west of Albuquerque, when she saw 28-year-old Robert Benjamin Nelson driving a white GMC pickup truck and tailgating the vehicle in front of him. When Duran stopped the truck and approached it, DPS officials say Nelson fired 3 rounds without warning at her through the tinted rolled-up passenger side window. Nelson then took off in his truck and continued eastbound on I-40, and despite Officer Duran's injuries, she returned to her vehicle and chased Nelson with her hands covered with blood on the wheel. Nelson was eventually detained and booked into a detention center, and Officer Duran was transported to an area hospital where she was treated and released. Glad she is okay there. In your consumer headlines, Nordstrom shares got a lift after the department store reported that its third quarter sales picked up more than analysts had anticipated. The department store is suggesting that it might have a stronger holiday season than some investors expected if trends continue. Nordstrom CEO Eric Nordstrom said the retailer has made strides with its online business, especially since its stores were temporarily shuttered. Digital sales in the 3-month period were $1.6 billion and represented 54% of the retailer's business. Nordstrom was among the retailers that were forced to close their doors in the early days of the pandemic. Total sales were down 40% in the first quarter and 53% in the second quarter compared with the same period a year earlier. Planning on a Thanksgiving dinner on a budget, perhaps? Well, here's some good news for you. The cost of a traditional Thanksgiving meal is at its lowest level in a decade and down 4% since last year. The average total cost for 10 people is $46.90, or less than $5 per person, according to an annual survey from the American Farm Bureau Federation. The informal survey collects data from shoppers both online and in store as they record prices for their classic holiday staples. That list includes turkey stuffing, sweet potatoes, rolls with butter, peas, cranberries, a veggie tray, pumpkin pie with whipped cream, and coffee and milk. Again, all of that just under $50 for 10 people. That's crazy, right? As with online retail sales for holiday gifts, grocers began their sales and promotions earlier this year due to COVID-19. And California officials have given the green light to Tesla to continue to operate its giant electric car factory in Fremont during the latest coronavirus crackdown there. Recently, the California Department of Public Health said that Tesla employees were essential workers. That designation meant that they could be able to continue to work from the factory even with Governor Gavin Newsom's move last week to impose various business restrictions to help deal with a surge of COVID-19 cases. Although employees continue to work, there are now questions raised on whether they could keep operating from the hours of 10 p.m. to 5 a.m., which is when a newly imposed curfew on much of California is in effect. Give you a check of the weather right now. Thanksgiving's tomorrow. It seems like Christmas will be here before we know it. That means 2020 is almost over, which is really good. And we're also taking a look at these temperatures that seem to cooperate for this time of year, finally, which is some good news. So looking outside right now, 65 degrees in Phoenix, downtown Phoenix, 5-mile-per-hour wind. So it's very light and mild out there. But as we do take a look at what to expect for the next couple of days, it's going to be a fantastic day tomorrow. You're going to love it. Whatever you decide to eat, whether it's turkey or tofu, whatever it is, you're going to want to do it outside. It's going to be a fantastic day tomorrow. But we're also tracking some of those temperatures cooling in a downward trend. And of course, when we do have cooler daytime highs, we have those chillier overnight lows. So that's definitely something to watch as we go throughout the next couple of days. Valley temperatures right now, we are nice and mild in the 60s. Carefree are the only one in the 50s at 55 degrees. Today, we were nice and warm across the state, down in the deserts in the 70s. Up north in the high country in the 60s and 50s, 52 degrees in the Grand Canyon. Overnight tonight, it's going to be very chilly up there, 16 degrees in the Grand Canyon for tonight, 21 degrees in Flagstaff, 24 in Winslow. Along the rim, we're going to be right at the freezing mark, Show Low and Safford, or Payson that is, both at 32 degrees. Well, as we take a look at the country for tomorrow, if you're traveling somewhere, you expect to be somewhere by this time tomorrow for the holiday, 43 degrees in Bismarck for tomorrow, 39 degrees in Salt Lake City, 46 in Denver, and over on the East Coast, we're looking at 72 degrees in Atlanta, 63 degrees tomorrow for the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade in New York. So looking at some of these storms moving across the country for today, we did have a lot of rain up towards Chicago and St. Louis area. That is all going to be pushing eastward. As we take a look down south, Atlanta, you had your fair share of thunderstorms moving through today. Those storms are going to be pushing eastward, and it's going to be a wet Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade tomorrow, and much of the Northeast will see a lot of rain. For us tonight, 47 degrees. It's going to be nice and mild. Tomorrow, we're warming up to around 72 degrees for your Thanksgiving. It's going to be very nice. And as we plan the day out for tomorrow, 9 a.m., the time the parade starts, 53 degrees by the time we get to lunchtime, 67. And then by the time we're wrapping the day up, 65 degrees. So your 7-day forecast, as we take a look at the next couple of days, we're going to be having lows in the lower 40s to upper 30s. By the time we get to Friday, 64 degrees for your daytime high. And then we're going to be trending in the 60s by Saturday. And then Sunday, we jump back up to the 70s, 74 degrees for the start of your work week next week. And those overnight lows will be in the 40s. All right, stay with us, everyone. Coming up, we'll have your top stories. We'll be right back. And before we go, we want to get a check of some of the stories making headlines in Arizona. ASU football canceled its upcoming game against Utah due to a prolonged COVID-19 outbreak within the program involving multiple players and coaches testing positive for the virus. The cancellation was done on account of return to play protocols involving CDC-prescribed quarantines by virtue of contact tracing and cardiac testing evaluation results, according to a statement made Tuesday by Vice President for University Athletics Ray Anderson. The number of players who remain in quarantine leaves the team without enough scholarship players to meet the Pac-12's minimum number of scholarship players required to play a game. Governor Doug Ducey is acknowledging for the first time that Joe Biden won Arizona's 11 electoral votes. The Republican governor publicly acknowledged the results 3 weeks after the election when pressed during an interview on KTAR. Ducey says any legal challenges will go through the courts, but he expects the state will certify the election results as scheduled on Monday. He has avoided discussing Biden's victory in Arizona or nationally as President Donald Trump seeks to overturn the election with baseless claims of fraud. And Great Wolf Lodge, Arizona is offering a unique and private experience at the resort near Scottsdale. The Own the Park package includes exclusive water park access for 2.5 hours after the park closes to the general public. Those who purchase this package will get access to all slides, pools, rivers, and water play features on the property. This is a big splurge. Packages start at $10,000. and only family and friends of the package buyer are invited to join. Plenty of people getting into the holiday spirit early this year due to the pandemic. Well, check this out. Christmas at Schnepp Farms is kicking off for the second year in a row, and the farm has been transformed into a winter wonderland. Visually, the farm will look the same, but safety procedures will look a bit different due to COVID-19. Visitors will be capped at 40% capacity, and rides will be sanitized after every single use. So at least there's that to look forward to, right? I love Schnepp Farms. All right, thanks for joining us, everyone. For the news at 6, have a great night.